This one's for my stromies. And then there's I'm still true to the game and I'm down with my stromies. Strom boy. That's all I know. Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are
the
NeuroNerds.
Yes, that was on time.
I feel pretty good about that.
NeuroNerds.
All right, so we have a special episode today. We have special guests on, like not just one, we have several. Not several, we have three. I'm talking to the Three Stromies today. The Stromies, you might be asking, who are the Stromies? The Stromies are three stroke surviving women that found each other, and they're all homies. They all had strokes, hence Stromies. So the Stromies have helped me a lot during my recovery. They're some of the first people that actually gave me a real sense of community. Some of the first people that I reached out to when I was going through some struggles and I had some questions. They've always been amazing, not only for me, but so many other survivors out there. I think they're going to be helpful to anyone and everyone that reaches out to them. They're amazing. They're great. They've helped me so much. And this NeuroNerd is very excited about sitting down, having a conversation with these three amazing women and learning more about their journey. So without further ado, here's my interview with the Stromies.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. So who's up first?
Not it. No.
We just pointed at each other.
Hi, I'm Stromy Sarah.
I'm Stromy Tamsin.
Woohoo!
And Stromy Angie is running late.
As per usual.
Face.
She's worth the wait. It's okay.
She is.
Absolutely. You guys are all rock stars. So the Stromies, I'm going to ask because everybody's going to ask, even though I tell everybody that I talk to about you guys, how did you guys get the nickname the Stromies?
It's the words stroke and homies put together into a mashup.
That's just amazing. So
Tamsin's husband is the one who came up with that. So we cannot take credit for coining that amazing term.
oh my God, you should totally take credit for it. Steal it.
Yeah, I totally thought of it all by myself.
So if you a happy wife, happy life. Say yeah. I coined that phrase.
You
Yeah.
did. Oh my gosh.
So how long have you guys known each other?
Oh.
Gosh. Well, let's see. This is Sarah talking. I started stalking Tamsin towards the end of last year. And gosh, I'm trying to think. The first time we have pictures together, we were both wearing like winter clothes. I think it was like November, December timeframe.
Wow,
I think so. And this is Tamsin. I met like the end of 2016, I think. And then you met her a couple of months after meeting me, I think. Yeah.
But we've been kind of going strong as a trio, I would say, since, the end of last year, beginning of this year.
So I was under the impression that you guys have just been like lifelong friends because of all the, the pictures, the events you guys are at, like your camaraderie. I just assumed you guys have known each other since you guys were like kids.
It really feels like it, actually. But how messed up would that be? Three great friends who all happen to have strokes. I mean, come on.
Oh my gosh. That's so morbidly awesome.
I know. Don't hang out with them. You'll die.
They're so cool. Your brain will hemorrhage.
Yeah.
That's so cool though. What I think is amazing is that you guys all found each other and that you guys are all in the same state. I've found it so difficult to find people my age or people that I could just relate to in my state, let alone like people like you guys are so close together, like in proximity.
I really feel like God had a hand in all this. I have a lot of faith, and it felt like, as I was crying out to God, not to sound all biblical or whatever, but as I was crying out to him, please send me somebody who understands what I'm going through because I feel so alone. And then here comes Sarah and Angie, and it was like my prayers were answered.
That's amazing. Oh wow! So I didn't do that, but I did. I guess you know what? There's different I guess trains of thought on prayer and energy and everything like that. I put the same kind of energy out, just like looking for understanding, you know. And I found so many different people, which has been amazing. It took me a really, really long time. I don't know how long it took you out of recovery, but for me, it took close to a year to actually start finding somebody to talk to about this.
I didn't even really know that there was a stroke survivor community per se.
Yeah, same here.
I was really lucky that the Heart Association kind of took me under their wings and put me in a lot of public positions to where I would meet a lot of people. And that's how I met Angie. And then, as Sarah said, she stalked me. So I'm
did.
The victim.
I was actually looking at the American Heart and Stroke Association website, and I saw a blog by Tamsin, and I saw her picture, and I was like, gosh, she looks young like me. I was like, they do exist. So I reached out to her, and I really didn't give her a choice. I made her be my friend. Thankfully, she complied.
I don't think she had much of a choice.
No, she didn't. So
She's so easy to fall in love with. It was very easy.
Thank you.
I agree. All of you guys are the most loving, caring, sweet people, and I'm so happy to have met you guys. So speaking of strokes, this is why I think we're all in contact. We're all bonded by stroke, but we're friends because we love each other. So I had a hemorrhagic stroke, a high blood pressure induced hemorrhagic stroke. That's how I ended up, I don't know, Strokey Joe, I guess. So I'll start with, who should I start with, Tamsin or Sarah? If you wouldn't mind telling us.
Your poison, baby.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah.
Okay.
What type of stroke and how long has it been?
So February 6, 2016, so about 2.5 years. I had actually both strokes. I've always kind of been an overachiever. And so I was at the ER with my daughter, who was 3 at the time, because she'd been crying with horrible earache for like 6 hours. And we get to the ER, and I sit down to fill out the paperwork, and I lose feeling on the right side of my body.
Oh my gosh.
And it just goes completely limp and numb. And so I was so confused, and thankfully I was at the hospital. And so they get me all hooked up and stabilized, take me next door to a adult hospital, where I end up, spending the next 5 weeks relearning, basically activities of daily living. And 3 days after my first stroke is when they noticed the brain bleed, because I was getting worse instead of getting better. Like, I couldn't have TPA or any of that stuff because I was actually already on blood thinners when I had my stroke. Again, I know something that doesn't generally happen, but I have, several deficits post-stroke that I've just learned to live with and work around. And it has completely changed my perception in life. I mean, it hasn't made me angry or bitter. It's just made me grateful and absolutely blessed for every single day and opportunity that I have to witness and serve others, whether they're stroke survivors or anyone else.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh.
Not the stroke. That's terrible. That's awful.
Okay, you want to talk about beautiful? There is someone absolutely beautiful who just made quite an entrance.
Oh, is it the late Stromie?
Yeah. Did you get my text?
Yeah.
How many stroke survivors does it take to get lost on a country road?
So that voice can only be Angie, the late Stromie. How you doing, Angie?
You have so many names now.
I do.
You do. It's going to be
No.
really difficult to put on the back of a jersey.
True. We should get jerseys. That would
Just call me fabulous.
You're absolutely fabulous for sure. So right now we're talking. Obviously we're talking strokes. You're the Stromies. I'm Strokey Joe. So Tamsin, type of stroke, and I guess when it happened.
Well, Strokey Joe. So badly. Mine was in July of 2015. I had an ischemic stroke, which later we found out that I had holes in my heart and a propensity for my blood to clot. It's not a clotting disorder; it's a genetic mutation.
Oh wow, you're like a X-Man. You're a mutant. That's awesome.
I am the X-Man.
Yes, your son would love that.
I know. But I didn't know I had either one. And I mean, I'd served in the military and everything and had so many physicals, and nobody ever told me I had a hole in my heart.
Oh, wow. I guess those physicals were thorough, weren't they?
Yeah, I guess so. You know, they felt thorough at the time.
By the way, you're a boy. Just kidding.
So that's how my stroke happened. I don't know how much background you want other than that.
As much as you'd like to give. I love hearing these stories. Not that I love hearing them. That sounds really morbid. I don't. I think it's terrible.
You're like, tell me again how you almost died.
But I think it's very freeing.
Tucked in bed with hot milk.
I've got my popcorn here. I want to hear more. So I think it's very freeing for us to share our stories because it's a huge burden. It's a huge weight on our shoulders. And I also think it's amazing for other survivors out there to hear that we're thriving. That we're not just living. We're past that. We're now on the point where we're thriving. So any background you'd like to give, we love to hear.
Well, so for me, mine hit. I was putting away groceries and my kids were with me. And at the time they were 11 and 9, I believe. I could have the ages off. It's kind of hard to remember back to that time sometimes. But anyhow, we were putting away groceries because it was summer. So they weren't in school, thank God, because otherwise I would have had my stroke by myself and would have died. Wow. But so my daughter is trying to call my husband because she knows something's wrong because I'm lying on the kitchen floor and I'm drooling and mumbling and not making any sense. And so I'm asking her not to call him because, as we all know, when you have a stroke, your brain does not work very correctly.
Yes.
And my thought process was, I really don't want my husband to see me dying of a stroke because I knew I was having a stroke.
Wow.
So I'm trying to tell her not to call him. And she's like, fool, I am calling. She didn't say fool, but it was indicative. So she called my husband. He works about 9 minutes away. So he came straight home, walked in, took one look at me, tried to help me up, and my left side wouldn't move. And he's like, yeah, this is a stroke. We're calling an ambulance. So they showed up, and I remember I was so embarrassed because I was drooling when they walked in, and one of the paramedics said, yep, she's drooling. And I was like, okay, I get it. And so they went through a few tests and then strapped me to the gurney and took me away. And off it was to the hospital. And I don't remember a lot about the hospital. I remember little snippets and stuff, but I remember feeling just so far away from my kids in that moment. I was like, is this the last time I'm going to see them?
My, that's tough. Well,
yeah.
Thank goodness it wasn't. And I think you're an amazing mother for making your daughter not listen to you because it was the right thing to do. That's incredible. I'm so happy that you guys are here. And late Stromy Angie, it's time for you to share with the group.
Relax. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh. What do you want to know, Joe?
I would like to know when you had your stroke, and I guess a little bit of background, and then yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, I have really considered myself healthy my whole life. I used to run marathons. I taught fitness classes since I was probably 18, about 4 years ago. Well, actually, it was a few more than, okay, so it was a few more than 4 years ago. A lot longer than that. I also be the oldest Stromy, but
the most fabulous.
Well, I don't know about that, but I did always try to practice a healthy lifestyle and encourage it, honestly, everywhere that I could. And mine kind of hit actually on December 7th, 2012. I had literally taught a fitness class the day before, was not feeling well. In fact, I remember thinking, this is just about all the energy I have to get through this. I thought I was coming down with bronchitis.
Oh.
I had been to the doctor the day before, and that's kind of what the prognosis was. My blood pressure was normal. I mean, all signs pointed in that direction. I was actually going into heart failure. But the normal signs weren't there. So I woke up Friday morning, December 7th, and I actually felt horrible. Like I was coming down with the worst flu I had ever experienced, I think. I just never remembered feeling that bad. Moments later, I felt like thunder and lightning was going through my chest, and I was fighting to breathe. I remember running into the bathroom thinking I was going to be sick, and I sank down on the floor where honestly that's probably where I would have stayed. Wow. Kids had just gone off to school, and my husband had gotten a text, was supposed to be out of town on a hunting trip. Well, the night before at midnight, he got a text from his buddies saying, the direction of the wind has changed. Let's just call off hunting this one time. And I think, that was a pretty cool faith thing, because if he would not have been there, I know that I would not be here telling this story now.
That's incredible. Oh my God. That was literally written in the stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. This is a movie, by the way. All three of your stories. This is a movie. I can't wait to see the Stromie miniseries on Netflix.
Yeah, we're expecting a call from Netflix or Lifetime at any time.
Sure.
We haven't died. Okay, everyone died.
That's true, and we didn't kill our spouses.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Well, the day is young.
Well, I'm sure during your recovery, some of them wish for death. I'm sure.
I tell you what, though, on the days where I might say I do get irritated with my spouse, I do have to throw him a bone, because I'm like, dude, you saved my life. Yeah. The first one to save my life before anybody else got a chance.
Oh man, I would rub that in every single day.
Shockingly, he doesn't, which is so out of character.
I might need to have a conversation with him, because I've used my stroke against my girlfriend as often as humanly possible.
Well, I do have a few health cards I play. I'll get to that in a second. So my husband actually drove me in the ditch around morning rush hour traffic to get me to Lakeside Hospital, which was one of the closest hospitals to us. I remember barely being coherent on the way there. So I got there, I got into the hospital. I was in such bad shape, they bypassed me at ER and got me right back into a room. The last thing I remember was my husband grabbing my hand and us saying Through Thick and Thin.
Oh.
A week later, or then from there, I basically went into cardiac arrest. I coded twice. Once for 15 minutes before I was brought back with CPR.
Holy shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's such an appropriate reaction.
It is.
Yeah. At that point, I had 5% heart life, and they told my family, say goodbye. She's not going to make it, but we are going to try to lifeline her to another hospital for higher care. At that point, I had had at least one stroke. All my organs were shutting down. I had broken ribs from the CPR and a cracked sternum, and I was kind of a hot mess. So my family did say goodbye. They life-flighted me on a 7-minute flight to Nebraska Medicine. At that point, they put me on a machine called ECMO, and ECMO is kind of for last-ditch hopeless cases, and certainly back then. Basically, honestly, it takes a mostly dead person, puts you on hold while they try to figure out what's wrong with you. It's a machine that does the work of your heart and your lungs because they can't do the job. My organs shut down, my kidney, my liver, all of it. And so at that point, they thought my husband signed to put me on a heart transplant list, because they thought it was a heart virus initially. I spent a week in a coma, hooked up to these machines. They noticed, though, throughout the course of the week, a few days later, that my heart got 5% better. Oh. And then it got 5% better. And then, how cool is this for a date? On December 12th, 2012. Oh. So on 12/12/12, my heart ends up coming back fully functional.
Yeah.
That's a God.
Oh my! I'm over here. My jaw is on the floor. This is crazy. This is like, each one of your stories are amazing, but this is So, by the way, like, you not passing is amazing. I think it's because you're late. You were just like, no. I'm coming back. I'll be there eventually.
The death is standing there.
Exactly.
That
for death. Well, and to give you an idea, like my blood pressure, and actually my case was documented in a medical journal. Okay, so they figured out finally, because they kept thinking, what is her deal? My blood pressure was off the charts. Like, it was documented multiple times. My blood pressure was 300 over 155.
Oh my God.
Which is obviously what stroked me out and so forth.
Was it high blood pressure in this?
So I woke up 2 days later. Well, they figured out finally the cause of all of it. Actually, on top of everything else, I had a tumor on my adrenal gland. Your adrenals actually are what put out epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline. The tumor had basically spiked my adrenaline to over 500 times the level your body should have, which was in effect like a lightning strike to my heart.
Oh my God.
Everything. Crazy. It's a rare condition. Half of them, I think, is estimated they find in autopsy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, crazy. But I think what a blessing, because I kind of fit a few categories, I guess. But when I looked at it, I remember I look at the stroke part of it, and I feel like that was one of the toughest things to overcome. Though I wasn't coherent to get when my stroke actually hit, I think my body was in such turmoil, it was maybe one more thing. So I don't, like, when I look at the medical reports, I don't even exactly know what type of stroke it was. It was sort of added to the list of everything that went wrong. As in, I think it was just a list of a lot of things with hot mess at the bottom.
I think that's in the medical journal. That's what it has at the bottom. It says hot mess.
Yeah. Well, I woke up. So when I woke up 2 days, I woke up, they had prepared my family. They were like, okay, we don't know if she'll even know who she is, yet alone any of you. Just a lot of with everything that happened. Wow. So I did wake up 2 days later, and I was a total invalid. I couldn't use my hands. I couldn't walk. I could barely talk. But they did ask me, of the questions they were asking me, one of the questions was, are you hungry? And I said the word cookie. And my family immediately went, oh my God, that is exactly her. That is a good thing to eat. She's going to be okay. And I thought, hey, whatever gives hope, right?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So it was kind of crazy, but as you probably heard from Sarah and Tamsin as well, it's kind of a one step at a time thing. I remember, Joe, honestly, my first thoughts being, thank you, God. I get to go to my daughter's graduation, and this has got to be some kind of a miracle. There were still a million more things, honestly, that went wrong before they went right. Mm-hmm. And I did almost code twice more before they figured out the right medication to control my blood pressure. But, despite everything, I just kept thinking, I woke up, and there's so much I can't control. But I'm just going to find one good thing and build on that. Absolutely. And I'll see where it takes me. And when we meet other people and honestly having the privilege to get to be in the space of somebody overcoming anything as well as a stroke is just to look at them and say, I've been where you are and you can come out of this even stronger. And if we can provide hope and encouragement anywhere and really some stroke humor, I think makes a big difference, and I think it's a privilege to get to do it, that I'm just happy to pay it forward, to be honest. It was for me just to kind of tie up the rest of the story. I'm sorry to take so long, but
no worries. This is great.
Okay. I did go through as I finally got better at the hospital, when the deal was, okay, we got to get the tumor out of you or you're a sitting duck for this to happen again. But my heart was so weak, there was no way they could attempt it at that time. So I left. When I did leave the hospital, I left wearing a life vest, defibrillator vest, basically, so that, I was ready to go in case it happened again. And I did go through cardiac rehab and rehabilitation and all that kind of stuff. 3 months later, I was strong enough, and I did have surgery to remove the tumor. fortunately, after all they prepared me for with that, obviously, potential chemo, radiation, and so forth, the tumor was benign. And so I did not have to go through all that. All of the rehabilitation, the months and so forth that it took. But to this day, honestly, my heart has fully recovered and I'm on no meds of any kind. How crazy is that?
Are you serious? Sorry, it's like a magic trick.
Yeah, and they did tell me at the time, they said, because you took really good care of your health ahead of time, we think it's the only reason you survived. I say that and a miracle, because there's so much even they couldn't explain medically. But through that journey, though, led me to the American Heart Association, which led me to Tamsin, which led me to Sarah, and really a friendship. And we can speak the strength, but there's an unspoken, I've got your back. I know that at any time, if I'm having a day, the other two can throw some stroke humor my way or whatever it is, and we're just there. And there's a strength that kind of tripled when we found each other. At least I feel that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my! I'm all right. So I knew this was going to be really cool because I love, when I say I love you guys, I love you guys. I think you guys are amazing. This has been a hell of a lot more emotional than I thought it was going to be. All three stories, I'm almost in tears because it's so beautiful how you guys have, number one, survived. That's great. You guys, they're such unique, amazing stories. I'm crazy inspired. I think we're all indestructible. I think we're all Bruce Willis from Unbreakable now. I don't think anything can hurt us.
Yes.
I would see that.
That is I'm blown away. I really am. This is crazy. And the fact that you guys all found each other, I think that might be the most amazing thing ever.
Well, because I don't know about your guys' experience, but I lost a lot of friends after my stroke. And, I attribute it to, I'm different now, maybe not quite as quick and witty as I once was. And I think that we're like tangible reminders to people of our age that you can die at any time. And so psychologically, it was easier for them to distance themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
They see us and they think, oh, I'm going to die someday. And it could be today. And that's painful for people. So I get that.
It is. I had a friend who recently told me that, he changed his workout regimen, to really change the way that he ate, the way that he did everything. And he said, in large part because of you. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, I don't want to end up in a hospital. I was like, I think that's great. Anything I can do to help others. Don't be like Stroke. Don't be like Strokey Joe. Take care of your body. But yeah, it's really weird that because you kind of become a new person. I feel reborn. I came so close to not being here that I changed. I've done a 180. Every fundamental part of my life, I've shifted. I'm different. I'm absolutely different. Not in a bad way. I think I'm the most functional. I'm the most mentally and physically healthy I've been in my life, and I just have a different appreciation for life because I came so close to not being here. And there's a lot of people who don't understand what that is. They don't understand how to deal with that. So you do lose friends, but on the flip side of that, you gain some amazing relationships with some amazing people like you guys. I would have never met you guys if I hadn't had a stroke. I might have had a stroke just to meet you guys.
That's the best statement ever. Yeah, I love that. I will not forget that.
So I think years and years and years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stress out. I'm going to eat terribly, live a stagnant lifestyle, be depressed, anxious, have a stroke just so I can meet these three incredible women. Mission accomplished. I'm good to go. My master plan is come to fruition.
I have a stroke. Somehow we believe that the powers be
paths would have crossed.
But wow.
No, I think it's amazing what you guys do for our community too, because the first year out of the hospital, it was weird. It was just weird for me because I don't remember much of it because I had a lot of short-term memory issues. And I knew that I knew everything was different. And I knew every time I talked about something, nobody really understood what I was going through. I would just get, yeah, people feel bad for me. I don't want people to feel bad for me. I want people to understand what I'm going through. So it took me close to a year to find somebody to talk to. My NeuroNerd co-host, And that was great. And then slowly but surely reaching out and finding other people. There's this beautiful community out there. It's just hard to find. And the fact that you guys are reaching out every day and finding new people and helping people through the process, I could not have more love for you guys.
We feel the same way about you, and you know, the stroke community that we all are part of and are helping to continue thriving just fills our buckets, as my first grader would say. When we have the chance to talk to people and have them share their stories, perhaps for the very first time, we get so many that tell us this was extremely therapeutic to put into actual words, because I hadn't really dealt with it before. I didn't know how to put it into words. And when other people that are following, Stromies and so forth, do comment and say, hey, guess what? I had the same kind of stroke, or I had the same very rare genetic mutation or blood clotting disorder or something like that caused mine. I mean, we're helping to connect people in a way that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to do so before. Just, as you're doing with Joso Rocks and NeuroNerds, it's amazing. And I'm so thankful to be a part of it.
Oh my goodness. I love your words. You guys are just the best. Like I'm blown away how much help it's been to me, how much you've helped other people. What's funny is there's somebody who's listening right now. I'm not going to name any names because she's not ready. Who is afraid to share her story because I asked to post her story in the Use a Rock section of my blog. And she was like, you know what? I really want to do it. She's like, I just can't yet, because if I do, it just makes it real. Yeah. And that shook me. I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of sometimes denial. I had it at the beginning. When I walked out of the hospital, I kind of limped out of the hospital because I had a cane. I didn't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy on the cane. So I just kind of, it slowed my recovery though. Not admitting that I was worse off than I was really, really slowed my recovery. So, any of you survivors out there that are in the midst of your recovery, hey, ante up. If you feel weak, if you feel like you're not what you were, you're not. You're going to be better than you were. Just right now, it's a moment in time where you need a little bit of help. That's fine. The more you admit it, the faster you're going to get better. Again, just a moment in time. Once I realized that, I started taking off. Got rid of that damn cane because I don't want to use that thing.
Yeah, that is such a great point, and I think you nailed it. It really does add strength to the journey, and my hope for the person that's maybe not ready to share her story yet, that through her elements of recovering, that she will add strength to someone else's journey by having the courage to share hers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And along the way, there's so many thank yous. I know we all agree. We run into people that we have thank yous for that have medically helped us and encouraged us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really amazing. We were honored to be a part of an announcement of a huge, $6.5 million grant to.
I saw that. That's awesome.
It was so cool to be there as stroke survivors. And one of the ladies that was there spearheads stroke recovery at the hospital where I was and hadn't seen me since right after my stroke. And she was almost in tears, and seeing the journey that I've gone on, and come to find out, one of my main nurses at the time had a stroke 6 months afterwards. And so I've just connected with her on Facebook and on Instagram, and I'm going to have lunch with her. And it's just my brain just wants to explode. It's just so amazing.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Well, I actually went to visit the emergency room that I went to. And when I say I have zero memory, I have zero memory of my initial hospital visit. I remember I was at my girlfriend's show. Her dad was there. We were hanging out. I had a really bad headache. And then I remember a month later, I'm in a hospital and I can't move. And people are, telling me where to go and helping me. It was really weird. So there's this huge chunk that I don't remember. And I went and the nurses were so happy to see me. And I had no idea who they were. I felt horrible. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are, but thanks for the love. It was really weird. I don't know if any of you guys had any issue with short-term memory. That's a yes, Missouri.
What did you say?
Yeah, what was the question?
Or, being stuck on a country road somewhere. The latest road.
My 6-year-old will go, Mom, #memory loss. When I forget something and I'm like, oh my gosh, #memory loss. Thanks, kiddo.
That's amazing. You raise an amazing child.
Well, and you made a mention, I know, about using the stroke thing with your girlfriend. I know with my kids, a lot of times later on and through the years, I've said, when they're kind of, geez, Mom, I can't believe you forgot that, or I can't believe it. And I'd be like, I was in a coma twice.
Well,
And they now look at me, and this kind of brings happiness to my heart because I know that they are not traumatized. But they'll say, hey, we're over it. Get over the coma.
wow, that's hilarious. It took my girlfriend a few weeks. No, it took her 2 months to get over my idiocy. Because I had a hemorrhagic stroke, so my brain was bleeding. So anytime I didn't want to do something, I would kind of curl up my arms and I put my head down. I'm like, but baby, my brain's bleeding. And so after a while, finally she was like, you know what? Your brain was bleeding. It's not bleeding anymore.
Actively bleeding.
But it was cool because I have a new one. She's originally from, well, not originally. She's from Sacramento. And she does some shows up there. And one of her drummers in Sacramento was like, yeah, you can't say my brain was bleeding. You can only use that for like a few months. He's like, but you could say you survived a hemorrhagic stroke for the rest of your life. So, so I changed it. Anytime I don't want to do anything, but baby, I survived a major hemorrhagic stroke. Yeah, it's very difficult to be with me.
I met, Joe, that had a hemorrhagic stroke, and I think it was from a hashtag initially that I found you because it is so rare. There's not many of us out there, and you find, this is Sarah, by the way, and you find that the recovery is often they don't have the recovery that some people expect. And so I feel very fortunate, as do you, to be where we are based on the type of stroke that we had.
Absolutely. The percentages say we shouldn't be here.
Right.
So I remember my girlfriend, one of the earliest memories I have is her sitting me down and saying this stroke was a blessing. And I was like, I don't know if you understand what the word blessing means. But she was absolutely right. She really was. I wasn't living for the first, 30 plus years of my life. I was just in survival mode. I learned that through therapy. Yay. So I took a step back and now I'm actually enjoying life. I'm actually living it to its fullest because the alternative isn't very nice. It's not a good thing. And, I remember my first memory. I'll ask you guys too, what if you guys remember your first memory outside of the hospital, like not having to be here? For me, and it still brings tears to my eyes this day. I was driving home. I wasn't driving because I wasn't able to drive for months.
What the hell are you driving for, man?
My girlfriend was driving me home, and on the way home, I just remember I was like a dog. I had my head out the window, and I just saw the wind rustling through the leaves in the trees, and it was honestly the most beautiful thing my eyes had ever seen, and I was just in tears. And even now, I'm a little misty. I just loved seeing that meant the world to me. Do you guys have a first memory of being out of the hospital, like away from the hospital, not like being in it, like just away and I don't have to go back there. I'm going to sleep in my own bed tonight. That type of memory.
This is Tamsin. When they took me out of the hospital, I couldn't walk yet. So I was in a wheelchair. So they loaded me into my husband's car and we're driving home and I was super grateful to leave the hospital. And then he put on some music on the radio and that one song, that fight song, "This Is My Fight Song."
Oh, yeah.
I always thought was the dumbest song in the world. I'm like, what a stupid song. And then it hit me and I just started bawling. And I'm like, this is my song. And then I can't hear that song without crying.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Now I might do the same thing.
Yeah, we could sing for you, Joe.
I would appreciate that. I love singing. I have an incredible voice. It's not good. It's just incredible.
Oh, we could dance for you too. Yes, that's true. We twerk.
We do. No, No, she
No,
twerks.
one of us twerks.
Yes.
All right, so my co-host Lauren, she's a Renaissance woman. She does everything, but she teaches. She's a gold medal winning pole dancer, and she teaches a twerk class. So we're gonna start doing like these little videos of the NeuroNerds, and she's gonna teach me how to twerk.
I want to meet her too.
I gotta tell you, it's incredible. Like I told her, I was like, I think I can pick your butt out of a lineup more than your face because I see your butt more than your face on your Instagram posts.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
How about Sarah and Angie? How about you? The first memory out of the hospital.
Well, the first memory for me, it wasn't going home, but my little brother came to visit from Virginia because that's where I'm from, and my family took me to get my nails done, which is something that they know that I love to do. And I just remember having to, you know, how you have to put both your hands up on the little desk, and I remember my right hand and arm I had to literally hold up while she was doing my nails because it kept just sliding down, you know, like I still have lack of sensation, but I mean, I couldn't feel it at all. And so I just remember that. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, is it always going to be like this? Like, if so, I'm just not going to get my nails done anymore. But thankfully it's, you know, it's not like that anymore. But that's the first memory I have is going to get my nails done.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Beautiful.
Her nails look fabulous, by the way.
And her nails look terrific.
Hey, you guys all look terrific. Let's be honest.
Yeah, if we're going to be honest, we're all.
That's right. Why fight fabulous, right?
Truth is, I'm amazing. You guys are fabulous.
There you go. You know, my first memory, there were two of them. And one of them was when I was still in the hospital. And it was kind of that, did any of you have that feeling of you didn't really even realize how bad you were?
Yeah.
Until you had that little moment. Well, my moment was when I was in the hospital. And I mean, I kind of thought it was odd that the doctors, they were kind of freaking out with excitement. And you know how you don't really hadn't really connected the fact that I really had died. And these two guys in pilot suits showed up at the hospital, and my husband was like, oh my gosh, he was so excited. And I'm just looking at them, and they were the pilots that flew me from the one hospital to the other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had been looking, they follow up on their flights apparently, and they had been looking for my name all week in the obituaries. And when my name did not appear, they finally called the hospital and they told them I survived. So they came to see me, and they were like bewildered. And they said, oh my gosh, you know, this is just such an exciting Christmas present for us, because quite honestly, when we transfer somebody who looks like you did, they're in the obituaries. They don't make it. And I remember looking at them thinking, oh my God, I must be really bad.
Well,
which I think maybe is a good thing when you don't get it. But to this day, I would love to be able to just have even a 30-second conversation to thank them again. But even when I call the hospital, they don't have a record of who those pilots were. So a shout out, thank you again, because I wouldn't be here without them either. But it was that moment. And then the next one was, I remember stepping foot inside my home the first day I finally got home, and the big note, kids put a big poster up saying, welcome home and we love you, and standing there and just remembered how grateful I was that even though my energy was so minimal, but the gratitude was overflowing. And I just, every time, you know, you have that moment that's challenging, to just look at, oh my gosh, there are so many things to be grateful for. I can't focus on the thing that's holding me back at the moment.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Stop making me tear up, women, please.
Well, don't ask us questions.
That's why you do audio and not video.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. I'm an ugly crier. I've seen myself. It's not pretty. Man, this is amazing. You know, and even more so, just the fact that you guys take the time out of your days to help others. You know, I've always been a helper by nature. I've always wanted to help others, I guess, more than myself. It's one of the reasons why I had a stroke. But now, it just helping others is different. I'm not helping others because I'm lacking something in myself. I'm helping others because that's just what I want to do, what I choose to do, because it feels good. It's so nice to hear, oh my gosh, thank you for understanding, because it's so difficult to get people to like really understand. So like when I tell people like, oh man, I'm overwhelmed, people don't really understand what overwhelmed is. When I tell people that I'm tired, people don't really understand like post-stroke fatigue. Like I'm exhausted. And what did you do? Nothing. I did absolutely nothing, but I am exhausted.
Yeah. Not dying was exhausting.
Yeah. I didn't die and I am so tired.
Seriously. Oh wait, so I had a question. How did you guys link up with the American Heart Association?
Link up with what?
The American Heart Association?
Well, for me, this is Tamsin. I wrote a post about, surviving a stroke and all that, because before the stroke, I was a writer. And so for me, writing was
award-winning. Okay, let's be clear.
Okay.
Award-winning author. Award-winning author.
If I could talk.
Don't be modest, Tamsin. You're amazing.
Okay, thank you.
She's kind of a big deal.
Okay, before the stroke, I was a more prolific writer than I am now. Can I say that? Is that okay?
You're amazing. Don't underplay it.
Your blogs.
So for me, writing was therapeutic, and it was like getting back to my old life. So I wrote a piece for a local publication about the stroke, and the Heart Association got wind of that, and they contacted me because the Go Red for Women Expo was coming up, and they met me for coffee, and they're like, "How would you feel about being our keynote speaker for the Go Red for Women Expo?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do it," like that. Not realizing there was going to be 800 people in attendance. But, for me, I know. For me, that was also very therapeutic because I spent a lot of time in public eye before my stroke, and it was nice to be up in front again, even though a little nerve-wracking because I have some aphasia issues and stuff. But I did okay, I think. So anyhow, that's how I got into the Heart Association. And I know you were already, I'm pointing at Angie right now. I know you can't see me. I know Angie.
Angie's a stalker. Yeah.
No,
Sarah's a stalker.
Well, no, everybody stalked me, and I.
Oh no, Sarah the stalker. Got it.
And you are the victim here, Tamsin.
I am. Send help.
But both Angie and I, we just wanted to be Tamsin's friend, and neither of us really gave her much of a way out. So we just said fine.
We did. We wore her down.
We did.
I'm very
into the circle of friendship.
Well, apparently she doesn't have a choice. So tap the microphone twice if you want me to call for help.
Yeah.
No, I think it's beautiful what you guys do. And, even like sharing the stories of other survivors, I think that's like a brilliant idea. I mean, it's so simple just to talk about, like, it's so simple, but it's so difficult to talk about like what happened, because I guess it does make it real.
It does. And that was really not, Tamsin can tell you a little bit more about where we were expecting to go as a group, but it sort of just evolved into sharing other people's stories simply by wanting, quality and original content for our blog. Not only writing stuff ourselves, but then I was like, gosh, what about therapists? And Tamsin's like, what about this? And Annie's like, what about this? And so then people started sending us their stories. I was like, man, this is really cool. And then that's kind of how the community evolved was through that process. But initially we had another idea. I'll let Tamsin tell you that.
Well, we had talked about writing a book together. And so I was like, we need to get a media presence, because I'm always thinking in that sense. I'm like, we need to get a media presence before a publisher will even talk to us. So let's get a media presence, and we'll be the Stromies. And they're like, okay, whatever. So then we started doing the blog, and then all of a sudden Sarah's like, I have this one from Zimbabwe. Like all these people globally were just reaching out to us. And I was like, maybe we're not supposed to write a book quite yet. Maybe we're supposed to manage this global Stromie presence.
Don't forget the faux prince of...
One, Dubai.
Yes, the Prince of Dubai.
The faux prince.
Yes.
That sounds Interesting.
I'm gullible, and so this is Sarah, and I manage the Instagram page, and so I'm getting messages from the Prince of Dubai, and I'm like, man, this is cool. And I'm like, but he's not a stroke survivor, but he's really interested in me. But yet I'm thinking that this is totally normal. And then when I tell the other girls, they're like, I don't think that's the Prince of Dubai. I'm like, man, now I think you're probably right. Disappointed. And I was like, wah, wah, wah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's too much. That speaks volumes. I love that so
but
much.
It was still important for a moment.
It did.
So we still acknowledge the faux Prince of Dubai.
Yes.
You know.
That I love that. That might be like my new Instagram name, the faux Prince of Dubai.
Well, you, Joe, could be the foe of anywhere. Like Dubai is pretty like.
I think what's beautiful
anywhere because.
Oh, you were cutting out a little bit. I don't know if it's me or you, but I think we're back on track. You know what I think is great? The fact that the internet is a beautiful thing because it makes everybody so accessible. I've met so many people from all over, like when I say all over the world, who have who are going through the same things that I'm going through, that you're going through, you know, and we're building this beautiful global community.
Yeah.
I speak to, again, it was really hard to find, you know, people who understood what I was going through. So the few people that I talked to at the beginning that I reached out to, I felt like a stalker. It was really weird. You know, I was like, hey, so I see that you had a stroke. I had a stroke too.
Do you want to be my friend?
Dude, do you want to maybe talk sometime? So that it's so weird.
Yes, and we be best friends. I want to be best friends.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a grown ass man, and it was really weird that I'm like reaching out to people. It's like, hey, it's so strange. So, what one that I still talk to today is one of my. I actually say we've never met like in person, but I consider her like a good friend. My friend Rianne in the Netherlands. She's a gamer. She's an awesome tattooed chick. And you know, she helped me through a lot, and she's a big fan of the show. She listens all the time. It's just amazing that we talk to so many people from literally thousands of miles away, and we're all family. We're all connected by this horrible thing that happened to us.
Yeah, we feel the same way. And Rihanna's really freaking cool hair, dude.
Right? See, so I don't have any hair.
Sarah.
It's migrated from my head down to my chest, unfortunately. But if I had hair, it would be bright pink.
Oh, hair.
Hair. Oh,
I thought he was going a different direction.
Can't see you pointing at your head.
No, I can dye my scalp. I guess that might be about it. Because pink's my favorite color. So when I saw that she dyed her hair pink, I was like, oh, we were meant to be friends.
Yeah. It's been fun to get to know her, and I've actually watched her Twitch stuff a few times, and I love hearing her accent. Like several of the people that I've gotten a chance to talk to, like Ray and oh my goodness, she's one of the first ones that we did. Australia. Shannon Ray, she had stroke at 17. Oh, but wow. when I hear videos of her like talking, I'm like, I love your accent. It was so awesome. When we're on social media, you don't get to hear them talk.
No, at all. It's just text.
Exactly. And so you don't know that they have this fabulous accent. I'm like, I want an accent. Maybe I'll just develop one.
I think I secretly always kind of wanted to be Canadian, so I can say A at the end of words or at the end of sentences. That might work. So what's funny is that there's a friend of mine, Noreen. She's an artist from Australia. I didn't know she was from Australia, so we were just like talking back and forth for a little bit, and she said mate at the end of one of her sentences, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, did you just call me mate? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh my God, you're from Australia. This is crazy. I never even realized it, you know? And speaking of Rianne, I asked if she wanted to be a guest on my podcast, and she said no because I sound like an old Russian woman.
No, she doesn't.
That's what she said. Her words. And then so I heard her speak for the first time on her Twitch, and I was like, she sounds fine. She sounds vaguely like an old Russian woman.
Maybe middle-aged Russian woman.
Like a very young Russian woman.
That is a very untapped demographic. She should be online.
So what do you guys have going on? Like what are you excited about to be doing currently or in the very near future?
Well, actually, in a few minutes, once we finish this podcast, I'm going to talk to Kyle from Share Your Stroke of Genius.
Oh, I love Kyle. He's like the coolest dude in the world.
Yes, thank you for pairing us up. We're really excited about being a part of that burgeoning community as well, and seeing where that will take us. So I know that's today, and then we have tickets for the fabulous Heart Ball coming up.
Go Red for Women Expo.
Oh, Go Red for Women Expo. Sorry,
that'll be fun. And I think we're walking the runway in that too.
Oh yeah, we're walking
the runway. Of course you are. You guys are runway ready.
Rocking our red.
And we're going shopping in Angie's closet. Fabulous red dresses. Yes.
Oh man. Wait, so red for women. What about men? What about us?
Well, guys are invited too, and highly encouraged to donate.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what do the guys wear red too, or do they have to wear like pink?
Actually, okay, I got to tell you who the showstopper was.
Yes.
At last year's Go Red for Women, Tamsin's husband wore a red heart suit, had red hearts all over it. It was showstopper. I mean, you could not notice how amazing
he was. Very proud of himself.
Oh my gosh. I might have to hang out with your dude. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
He is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You should totally marry that guy.
Is that picture on the website?
No.
It was probably one of our early posts.
Oh yeah, we got to put it on.
I should put up more pictures on
the homepage.
Yeah, you absolutely do, because I can't get through the rest of my week without seeing that suit.
I will find the photo. And
you would be missing something to not see this suit.
Really, I kind of feel like I'm missing out. Period. Because I'm all the way out here in LA. I'm not, or else I would be dressing in pink and watching you guys go down the runway. Wait, is there going to be any live stream or maybe videos of you guys doing the runway stuff after this?
I'm sure there probably will.
We can have our husbands do something.
Yeah, that's true.
You should absolutely do that, because I'm with you guys in spirit, because I can't be there physically. But one day we're all going to hang out. You guys know this, right?
Oh, heck yeah. We've been talking about that too. Like that one day I thought I had this idea all on my own about having us all get together. And then I talked to you and you're like, yes, I had that idea too. And I'm like, well, it's not just my idea, but that's great. And, we want that too. It's like, the sky's the limit. I always have these huge ideas. I'm like, oh, we could do this and this and take over the world, like Pinky and the Brain. And then Tamsin brings me back to reality. She's like, let's talk. Angie and I are kind of realist. And Angie and I are kind of all over the place, dreamers.
And I'm like the buzzkill.
No. You know what it is? You always have to have your head in the clouds. You need one foot on the ground. You're the foot on the ground. You balance everything out. Life, it's the yin and yang of life. Yes,
we could not survive without her. She definitely keeps us in reality, keeps us on task, because what are we going to wear? Telling that story.
One of my deficits, Joe, it's called bulldogging is what they call it. It's where you get a thought in your head and you can't get rid of it. You obsess about it. So we were going to the Heart Ball and we're all having coffee, and I wanted to know, hey, what are we going to wear to the Heart Ball? And they're like, I don't know. And then they go off on some other conversation. And then I'm waiting. And I'm like, hey guys, what are we wearing at the Heart Ball? And they're like, oh, well, maybe we should. Oh, but look at the sky's blue today. So finally, I think I slammed my hand down on the table and I was like, what are we wearing?
Oh my gosh. I know exactly how that feels. I know how that feels on both ends. Sometimes it's cool, I just need an answer to this one thing because I can't really multitask the way that I used to, and I need this answered. But then other times I'm like the dog from Up, where I'm like, squirrel, and I'm just all over the place.
I mean, I'm
the life of squirrel every day.
This is amazing. Seriously, when I say this has been a pleasure, it really has been. And I hope you guys don't mind me bothering you often, because like now we've actually talked. I know your distinct individual voices, and I know who you guys are, like where you guys came from stroke wise.
You have to hear what Angie just said.
I'd love to hear what Angie just said.
I'm the one that sounds like the female Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart.
Well, we are all forever young, so that works.
Thank you for that.
That was funny.
No, you guys like when I saw you guys all hang out together, I was like, I'm not sure any of these ladies can drink legally.
Oh, bless you for that.
That's adorable.
You guys, as soon as you check out the Stromies, you're going to be like, look at these three beautiful young women. How can they have children? They're so young themselves. I mean this.
But they're not even airbrushed.
No, impossible. Impossible. You don't need it. You guys are perfect the way you are.
Oh,
thank you.
You know
we just learned filters.
We did learn how to use filter.
Technology. It's going to destroy us all. I saw Terminator. This doesn't end well for us.
No, it doesn't.
But this is awesome. So the Stromies, where can we reach you guys?
Our website is stromies.com.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is facebook.com/stromies. And then what's Twitter and Insta?
Okay, so Instagram is at Three Stromies, just all together. And then Twitter is at 3_Stromies.
Oh man, I'm terrible at Twitter. I get yelled at for not tweeting. It just doesn't make sense to me yet. Slowly but surely I'm getting there.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, so I'm with you. Instagram, thankfully, I feel like I've finally gotten the hang of, thanks to Tanson's daughter, Monet, who got us started.
Our tech support.
Our tech support is a freshman in high school.
That's hilarious. I always joke. I'm like, yeah, my tech department. It's just my girlfriend. I mean, she's she went to school for audio engineering, so she's like super legit. But she's my whole tech department is just my amazing significant other.
Well, I can barely stay on top of getting a blog in without getting the I. So I contribute nothing
Please.
digitally other than just,
the thing about Angie is she is such a good writer. I get so mad that she doesn't write more, because when she does write, I'm reading it, from an editor's eye. I'm like,
I want you. I'm going to turn in a blog today. Just
thank
you.
Note.
Angie, start writing. you're being shamed over here. Well, I get yelled at for not blogging enough, because you know what it is? It's hard to like focus in on like one thing. So I actually have 3 blogs open that I haven't finished. I finished one last week, which I'm thankful for. But like I have 2 other ones that I haven't finished that I'm like, oh yeah, it's amazing. And then like 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh, but this is another good idea. And I just never finish anything.
Thank you. I know
that feeling too.
Well,
you can talk your blog in, but then I forget that that's something I can do. So I'm going to try to remember now.
Well, that's why having the podcast helps. So like once a week, I can just talk and talk and talk, act a fool, be an idiot, and help people. This is great.
Fabulous.
So I want to thank you guys for being as amazing as you are, for coming on the podcast, sharing your stories. I want to thank you for doing what you do, and deeply, honestly, I want to thank you for helping me in my times of need. Because it's always been very difficult for me to reach out to other people, period. That's why I had a stroke. But especially like post-stroke, because I kind of feel bad for asking other people for help. It doesn't make any sense at all. I know that. But like there's been a couple of times where I've just been a hell of a lot worse than I think I come off. And there was, 1 or 2 conversations that I had with you guys online that's just like, it gave me that extra little push to keep on going instead of just crawling up in a little ball and hanging out in the corner of a bedroom.
I love that.
So for that, I thank you guys. I thank you for continuing the good fight for our community. And I look forward to doing so much more with you guys. The late Angie, I can't say the late Angie. You, the Angie who is often late, because late Angie just sounds so terrible.
Angie.
Well, you were the late Angie for 15 minutes.
This is true.
By the way, that's mind blowing. You literally escaped death. Like, does that like blow your mind? That blows mine.
It's when they told me, Yeah.
She's speechless.
I was speechless. I was like,
Man,
wow.
is it like Flatliners when you came back where you're like, something came with me?
Well,
My gosh.
no, but I will tell you this. I remember when I woke up, when I was carrying on a conversation with my husband, I asked him, I told him there were pink and orange flowers everywhere. And it was so cool. And I said, I remember I was calling out for my grandparents and a friend of mine who had died of cancer. Interestingly, the same age I was at the time it happened to me. But I couldn't see any of them, but I did see someone older, and they just kept saying back. And that is all I got for you. I don't care who believes me.
Wow.
But I was telling my husband that, and he was just like hands on his head going, holy crap. And, that's what I got.
It is amazing. Like, you guys never cease to amaze me. Like really, you guys are all beautiful physically and deep emotionally. You guys are perfect. I love all three of you guys so much.
Ditto.
Anything that I can do to help the Stromies, please. I'm always here. I'm I'm hundreds of miles away, but still, I'm right here.
And thank you so much for waking up early and doing this at 8 a.m.
Oh, no problem. My double espresso that I had 2 of, my quadruple espresso, it's kept me functional. So thank you guys so much for being you. Thank you so much for doing what you do for the community. I look forward to doing more stuff with you in the future, and definitely reach out to the Stromies, check them out. They're amazing. I mean, you heard them. Obviously, they're amazing. And I'll definitely talk to you guys really, really soon.
Can't wait.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
And that was my interview with the Stromies. I want to give a big thank you to the Stromies for being such amazing guests. And I want to thank them personally for all they've done for me and what they're going to continue to do for our community. They're just an amazing trio. And if you'd like to read more about the Stromies, Sarah, Tamsin, and Angie, their individual stories will be up on the USO Rock section of my blog at josorocks.com all throughout September. Follow me at Joso Rocks everywhere. Follow Lauren, our co-host missing in action right now, at Lauren L. Manzano on Instagram. Follow us at theneuronerds.com. Listen to us at theneuronerds.com and at all major podcasting sites, iTunes, Stitcher, all that good fun stuff. I want to thank Avid for sponsoring our show and providing us with our amazing sound. As always, the NeuroNerds, we are here to help. And on that note, this NeuroNerd out.
NeuroNerds.